Alright, today we're going to be ranking every single crew member in COD Zombies history. I'm ranking all of them from World at War all the way to BO7. For this list, I'm only ranking dedicated crew members, so Cold War, Vanguard, and Modern Warfare Zombies will be excluded. While yes, it might be fun to rank Ghostface or Chucky, that would take way too long. So this list is just dedicated crew members that you play as. For games like Infinite Warfare where they have unlockable characters like David Hasselhoff, or Will Weiler, I'm only ranking the 4 main heroes from each game. So these unlockable ones you can unlock later won't count. How I'm ranking this is based on a couple things. Lore, how much I like playing them, and personality. Lore will be kind of the last thing I look at since some of these crew members don't have the greatest lore, but they're super fun to play as. A dedicated crew has been part of every game up until Cold War when it got replaced with the choose your own operator system to incentivize purchase in bundles. Then both Vanguard and Modern Warfare Zombies had the same choose your own system. BO6 brought back dedicated crews, but also allows you to choose your own character, so it's a nice mix. I like the dedicated crew, especially in cutscenes, since Cold War was weird. When I would finish an Easter egg and the cutscene had Ghostface in it, really took me out. Anyway, let's start with the worst crew members in COD Zombies history. Only 2.6% of you have subscribed. It would be really awesome if you just hit that subscribe button. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying these videos as much as I'm making them. Now let's get back into the video. Coming in dead last is a group. And the reason I'm kind of grouping them together is they don't have the greatest anything, and they only show up for one map. This is the Marines from Varrock. They kind of show up in Knock, but they didn't have any dialogues or names until Varrock. At the time of release, we didn't know any of these names for these Marines, but over time we found out who they were and what happened to them. These 4 were sent to Asylum to extract Peter McCain, which we find out what happened to him in Shunonuma. We have John Banana and Smokey, who died fighting in the Horde, Tank Dempsey, who was captured by Richtofen to be a test subject, and Paxton Ridge. These guys don't have the greatest lore or quotes, so they're quite forgettable. At the time, they were just generic soldier models with no personality. They served their purpose as placeholders before the real crew showed up, but that's about it. Tank Dempsey is the exception, but I get to talk about him later. Coming in at number 53 is Robert McNamara from Black Ops 1's 5. Robert McNamara is the Secretary of Defense of JFK. He doesn't have a lot of backstory or lore in the Zombies universe besides a couple of quotes in later maps and auto reveals in later maps as well. He's the worst to play as in 5, but I still like. He has some good quotes.
Guess I shouldn't have made those budget cuts. Nixon, you have soiled your pants.
But nothing as memorable as the other members of the 5 crew. The problem is when you're on a team with JFK, Nixon, and Castro, you need to bring some serious personality to compete. McNamara just doesn't have the charisma or the humor that the other 3 bring. He's the one that you just wish that you don't get the random draw luck to get, and sometimes you do. You always want like JFK first, then Nixon, and then maybe Castro, and then whoever gets the short straw gets stuck with McNamara. He's not terrible, he's just the least interesting person in the most interesting crew. Alright, coming in at number 52 is Martin Johnson from BO2 and BO4 in the Victus crew. Moulton is considered one of the worst crew members in the franchise, and I get why. He's a nerdy know-it-all of the Victus crew, and his constant complaining and condescending attitude gets old very fast. Every other line of him is correcting someone or talking about him, or talking about how much smarter he is than everybody else. He has some decent lore in the comics where we find out more about his backstory and his relationship with Misty and the other crew members, which is actually kind of cool. But in game, he's just annoying to listen to for extended periods. His voice lines on transit and diaries make you want to mute the game. The comics try to redeem him, but the in-game experience is what most people will remember, and that experience is degrading. Even in BO4 when the Victus crew returns, Moulton is still the one you don't want to be.
Quickly! Beat off the zombies! Beat them off! What? Why are you laughing at me? This seems like a weapon for men with small penises. Paging Russman.
Coming in at number 51 is Lennox from Advanced Warfare. He's voiced by Bruce Campbell, which sounds amazing on paper. The evil dead guy in a zombies game should be incredible. Ash Williams fighting zombies is literally what Bruce Campbell is famous for, but Lennox only shows up in 2 of the 4 maps as a replacement for Oz, so he doesn't get enough screen time to make an impact. By the time Lennox joins the crew and carrier, most people have already stopped playing Advanced Warfare, so this incredible casting was wasted on a game with a shrinking player base. He does have some fun one-liners that channel that Bruce Campbell charm, but it's not enough to save him from being an afterthought. Bruce Campbell deserved a full game worth of content, not 2 maps at the end of a dying game lifecycle. Wasted potential doesn't even begin to describe it. Number 50, we have Khan from Advanced Warfare. He's voiced by Bill Paxton from Aliens and Apollo 13, and unfortunately, we sadly lost in 2017, which adds a layer of emotional weight to his character now. Every time you hear his voice lines, you're hearing one of his final gaming performances. The character itself is fine, it's just on a bad game. He's the corporate guy who's in over his head during an outbreak. He has some funny moments of panic that Paxton sells perfectly. He's just trapped in a game nobody played, which is the reoccurring theme for the entire AW crew. Number 49 is another Advanced Warfare, which is Decker, voiced by John Berthenol. I probably messed that up, but who everyone knows as the Punisher from Marvel and Shane from The Walking Dead. Decker is a security guard at Atlantis Fact facility caught in an outbreak. He brings that raw intensity he's known for. The guy sounds like he's ready to punch a zombie through a wall at any moment. The problem is his character is pretty one-dimensional. He's the tough guy. That's it. There's no arc, no depth, no surprise moments. Berthenol can play complex characters. We've seen it in the Punisher, but Decker doesn't give him anything to work with besides angry man kills zombies. Like Khan, he's a great actor, wasted on a game that doesn't deserve this caliber of talent. If John Berthenol was in a Treyarch Zombies game with proper writing, he'd be a top 20 character easy. Alright, at number 48 is Lilith Swan from Advanced Warfare. What else is new? Voiced by Rose McGowan from the Scream franchise and Planet Terror. This IT specialist of the Advanced Warfare crew and the only female member. She's tough and resourceful and provides a different energy from the 3 guys she's stuck with. Rose brings some attitude to the role and her performance is pretty solid, but Lilith doesn't stand out much compared to her castmates. Not given enough material to work with. She's the competent woman that holds the group together trope, which is kind of annoying, but it doesn't make for a memorable zombies character at all. She needs more standout voice lines and more personality quirks to rank higher, and especially since this is Advanced Warfare. Alright, number 47 is not Advanced Warfare, and it's Samuel Stuhliger from BO2 and BO4's Victus. Samuel is the most interesting Victus member from a lore perspective because he can hear Richtofen's voice in his head. That's a generally cool detail that ties him directly into the main Ether storyline. He's the only non-main crew member who has a direct connection to Richtofen, which should make him compelling. But his personality completely undermines that potential. He's paranoid, whiny, and consistently complaining. His voice lines are graded in a way that makes long play sessions painful. The Richtofen connection gives him more depth than Martin on paper, but playing as Samuel almost as annoying. He's also a conspiracy theorist who ate zombie flesh at one point, which is why he can hear Richthofen. That's a wild backstory that deserves better execution in-game. The comics flesh him out a little bit more, but most players will only know him as the annoying guy who won't stop talking.
Kinda feels like molasses, don't it? Oh, wait. Do I smell bacon? What the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Huh? Draw my own weapons?
At number 46 is Shaw from BO4's Chaos, the old alchemist scientist of the Chaos crew. Shaw is the eccentric professor who's obsessed with ancient science. He's supposed to be the intellect of the group, but his personality just doesn't land with me. His voice lines are often long-winded explanations about things that don't matter in the moment. He has some decent voice lines when he's interacting with Bruno specifically, and there are moments where his enthusiasm for discovery is pretty nice. But he's easily the most forgettable member of an already underappreciated crew. He either needed more humor or more emotional depth to compete with Scarlet and Diego. The eccentric old professor trope only works if the writing is pretty good, but Shaw's writing is just okay.
Oh, fucking let's give the scoped rifle to the geezer with the milky eye. No ammo. Well, this is a bit of a pickle. Not a good pickle either. One that's gone all floppy in the brine.
Coming in at number 45 is Bruno from BO4's Chaos, the big mysterious French guy of the Chaos crew. Bruno has some of the darkest lore in BO4, but in-game that darkness doesn't come through in his personality. He's quiet, brooding, and mostly just says generic tough guy lines. The contrast behind his rich backstory and his bland in-game presence is frustrating. He feels like the muscle with the backstory that needed way more development across the map. If the Chaos story backstory had continued beyond Ancient Evil, Bruno probably would have gotten the spotlight he deserved. Unfortunately, we got characters like Bruno who has unfinished arcs. This is Editor, Ducks fan, and I forgot to record and rank all the Dead of the Night characters. So I'm going to kind of group them all together into a section and kind of consider them like pretty decent. I would say they're kind of just above Bruno and Shaw in terms of character development. I totally forgot to include them into the thing because they're different characters. But if I would have to rank all of them, I would rank them above Bruno and Shaw. But yeah, I totally forgot because I just thought of that when I was pretty much finished with the video, so I'm just going to rank them right here. So, alright, number 44 is Oz from Advanced Warfare. This is voiced by John Malkovich, one of the most respected actors in Hollywood. Oz starts as a seemingly innocent janitor of the Atlantis factory and is secretly a former Sentinel Task Force soldier. He is patient zero of the infection. He gets killed by Lennox mid-story, comes back as a mutated zombie, and becomes the final boss you have to fight in Descent. Oz has probably the best lore of the AW crew by far. John Malkovich brings serious acting talent to this role, and you can hear it in his performance. The problem, as always with AW, is that the game is horrible. If this exact character and actor was placed in a Treyarch game with proper support, Oz would probably be talked about as one of the better characters in Zombies. Instead, he's a pretty much garbage that most people don't even know exist. It's just the biggest waste of acting talent in a franchise. Number 43 is Jack Vincent from BO3 Shadow of Evil. Voiced by Neil McDonough, who you might know from Band of Brothers or as the villain in a couple Marvel and DC shows. Jack is a dirty detective who took bribes and looked the other way for the wrong people, and now he's paying for his sins in Morgue City. Jack has the least personality of the four Shadows member. He's a straight man in a group of more colorful characters. Nero has Jeff Goldblum's quirkiness. Floyd has Ron Perlman. Jessica has a noir female fatale vibe. Jack is just the cop. His lore about being dirty is fine, but it doesn't translate into an interesting voice within the gameplay. He says cop things while shooting zombies. Compared to the other three who have distinct vocal personalities, Jack kind of blends into the background. Neil McDonough does deserve better material.
Hey! Anybody hear me? You know who I am? I'm Jackie fucking V! Hey, anybody hear me? Do you know who I am? I'm Jackie V!
Alright, number 42 is Jessica Rose from BO3 Shadows of Evil. Jessica Rose is voiced by Heather Graham, known for Austin Powers in The Hangover. Jessica has the classic kind of noir backstory of a burlesque dancer who used her looks and charms to manipulate powerful men, eventually get involved with the wrong crowd, and paying the price. She's fine as a character, but the Shadows of Evil crew as a whole just doesn't connect with me the way the other crews do. Some of the other ones do better, but Jessica's voice lines are serviceable, but rarely memorable. She doesn't have a standout moment the way Nero does with Goldblum. This character works for the 1940s noir setting, but it doesn't give her enough personality to stand out in a franchise full of loud, over-the-top characters. She's well acted and well designed. She's just nothing excited to play about.
You're so ugly! I can't blame you for being mad. I may be a woman, but I'm no lady.
Alright, number 41 is Floyd Campbell from BO3 Shadows of Evil. Voiced by Ron Perlman, who is Hellboy himself. Floyd is a washed-up boxer with the gambling debts who fixed the fight and accidentally killed his opponent. Now he's stuck in Morgue City paying for that sin. Ron Perlman's deep voice is perfect for a boxer, and he delivers his lines with the weight of a man who knows he messed up. Decent backstory, but he blends into the background compared to Nero. When Jeff Goldblum is in your crew, everyone else has to work twice as hard to be noticed, and Floyd's voice lines are mostly tough guy boxing metaphors applied to killing zombies, which is fun at first but gets repetitive. Perlman is a legendary voice actor. He's Hellboy, he's Slade from Teen Titans, but Floyd just isn't given enough uniqueness to showcase that talent. He deserves funnier writing or deeper emotional moments.
Congratulations, you just pissed me off. This looks too fucking weird not to be important.
Coming in at number 40 is Sally Simpson from IW's, voiced by Shashir Zamata from Saturday Night Live, the Valley Girl of the IW crew. Sally is a stereotypical 80s type of girl, obsessed with fashions, popularity, and looking good even during a zombies apocalypse. Zamata's comedy background shows in her as her delivery, and she lands some generally funny lines. But the Valley Girl archetype doesn't give her as much to work with as the other three characters. Poindexter's nerd humor has more range, AJ's jock stupidity is funnier, and Andre's hip-hop energy is more entertaining. Sally is the one you forget is there unless she says something particularly funny. She's the least memorable of the four, which puts her this low. In a different setting with a different writing, Zametta could have done more.
I'm dying over here. Somebody call 911. I wear my sunglasses at night to kill zombies.
Alright, at the number 39 spot is Billy Handsome from BO2's Mob of the Dead, the muscle of the mob crew. Billy's your classic enforcer, the guy the mob boss sends when he needs someone's legs broken. As you can see on this list, most of the lower ones are the enforcer type guys because they don't have much personality. Billy is the most straightforward member of what is arguably one of the best crews in zombies. He doesn't have the tragic depths of Weasel's storyline, the leadership presence of Sal, or the slick charm of Finn. He's just there to hit things and be imitating. In any other crew, that might be enough, but in a crew with characters as strong as Mob of the Dead's, playing one puts you near the bottom. He needed one more layer, maybe a softer side of regret, something to elevate him just beyond being the enforcer.
Sorry, Finn, I think you're fucked. How the fuck are there electric chairs on the fucking bridge?
Alright, number 38 is Olivia Durant from World War II. Voiced by Elodie Young, who played Elektra in Marvel's Daredevil and The Defenders on Netflix. Olivia is a French resistance member and art historian who joins the team to help recover stolen artwork from the Nazis. She's smart, capable, and brings an academic perspective to the group. But she's easily the least memorable of the World War II crew. She's a team member who's there because the mission needs an art expert, not because her personality demands attention. Elodie Young is a talented actress, but the character needs a stronger hook. Either a personal vendetta, a dark secret, or something beyond just being good at her job. Especially being in World War II, where, as I said before, the personalities of these four aren't very good. Number 37 is Jefferson Potts from World War II. Voiced by Ving Rhames, who is iconic as Wallace from Pulp Fiction and Luther from the Mission Impossible franchise. He uses a unique combination of an academic nerd and a gifted soldier, which is a cool concept on paper. Rhames brings the voice you expect from him. When he speaks, you listen, but Jefferson doesn't get enough standout moments to rank higher. The World War II story started strong with the final Reich, but fell apart later in later DLCs, which means characters like Jefferson never got the development they needed. He doesn't have very memorable voice lines or character-defining moments in World War II, but if the game had a stronger story throughout its full cycle, I think it would have been better. Coming in at number 36 is Marie Fisher from World War II. Voiced by Catherine Winnick, who is known worldwide as Lagartha from the TV show Vikings. Marie is an Australian engineer sent on a mission to her hometown to rescue her brother Klaus. That personal connection immediately makes her more interesting than a lot of the World War II crew's members. She has real emotional stakes. Her brother is in danger, and that drives her forward throughout pretty much every map, but she deserves credit for being pretty much the heart of World War II crew. The problem is the story didn't give her enough payoff. Her brother Klaus kind of subplot kind of fizzled out at the end as World War II story kind of loses its direction in later DLC. She had a setup for a great character arc, but the game doesn't really follow through. Number 35 is Drosten Hind from World War II. He's voiced by David Tennant, who is the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who, and also starred in Harry Potter and a couple other things. This Scottish character of the World War II crew is easily the standout character. Drosten is the bad boy of the group. He's got a dark sense of humor, a disregard for authority, and a mysterious kind of past that the story teases throughout the game. David Tennant brings the same energy that made him one of the better Doctor Who's. He's sharp, funny, unpredictable, and can switch from comedy to intense on a dime. If World War II Zombies had a bigger audience and a better storyline, Drosten would have been way more popular than he is. The voice acting alone elevates the character above most of the entries on this list, and he's proof that great voice acting can carry a character even when the game around it isn't as good. World War II Zombies is an underrated masterpiece, and Drosten is pretty much reason why. Number 34 will give me some hate, but it's Ultimus Takio from World at War, BO1, BO2, and even BO4. The honorable semi of the original crew, Ultimus Taco has been part of the franchise since World at War, but has been consistently been the least talked about member of the original four, and that's just not my opinion. Most people consider him the weakest link of the Ultimus crew. His quotes are mostly generic honor and discipline lines for the Emperor and various samurai stuff. He's not bad. He's just not as entertaining as Nikolai's drunkenness or Richtofen's insanity or Dempsey's, American aggression. Those three have such personalities that Takeo feels like a background character by comparison. He has some cool lore about being betrayed by the Emperor and his connection to Division 9. With the map Zetsubo no Shima, you do get a little bit of backstory with the Ultimus Takeo and him being, the final boss. But none of that is tied to his personality, because his personality comes through his actual voice lines during the gameplay. He needed more humor or more emotional to compete with the other three that he was with.
The quality of the gun is not as important as the bad motherfucker holding it. Takeo always brings the boom. It is why he is so popular. Right?
Number 33 is Robert Englund from BO1's Call of the Dead. Freddy Krueger himself is fighting zombies. Robert Englund is one of the biggest horror icons in cinema history, and having him on Call of the Dead is pretty much a dream crossover for horror fans. He brings that signature Englund energy, a mix of menace and dark humor that made Freddy Krueger so iconic. The novelty is great and the role is fun, but the Call of the Dead crew as a whole is more about celebrity cameos than actual character development. None of the four Call of the Dead characters have real arcs or deep lore. They're famous people saying cool things while fighting zombies. That's entertaining, but it is quite shallow compared to crews with actual storylines. Englund is fun to play as for the novelty, but after a few games, there's no depth to keep you interested in the character. He's a great character on a great map.
A face only a mother could love.
It's a chew toy, zombies. Now chew it!
Now, our number 32 is Gray from Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7. Elizabeth Gray is part of the BO6 crew alongside Weaver, Carver, and Maya. She's the intelligence specialist of the group, the one who figures things out and provides a pretty smart perspective during the missions. She has her moments, especially in cutscenes where her expertise drives the plot forward, but in a crew with Weaver leading charge, Gray gets overshadowed. Weaver's presence is so dominant that the other three BO6 crew members have to fight for attention. Gray is competent and has decent voice lines, but she doesn't have any defined personality traits. And with BO7, all four of these guys have kind of been sidelined, which is not the greatest. And compared to Maya, she's kind of and even with Carver on the line with her, I still think Carver is more of a better character than Gray. Gray doesn't really have any personalities. You got Maya with her whole plot with her brother in Terminus, and then Weaver obviously having, a thing with Richtofen, but Gray doesn't really have much. So that's why she's at number 32. Coming in at number 31 is Andre Wright from IW. Voiced by Jay Fahora from Saturday Night Live, the hip-hop guy from the Bronx. Andre is the 80s rapper archetype. He's got the style, the swagger, and the rhythm. Jay Fahora's impressionist background and comedic timing comes through in the voice line of Andre. He has some generally funny moments where his SNL training shines. But the 80s rapper stereotype limits what the character can do. Most of his lines revolve around being cool, dropping references of the time, and talking about music. It's entertaining here and there, but doesn't have the depth to sustain a whole game. That's why he is the third best IW crew member, just above Sally Simpson, which isn't bad considering how fun the IW crew is overall. In a different game with more story development, he could have made Andre into something special. The talent is obviously clearly there.
That's just the hood version of fast travel. Oh, hell! I got Rick Roll!
Number 30 is AJ from IW. Voiced by Ike Brainholtz from Mad TV, Neighbors, and Suicide Squad. He says stupid things and it's hilarious. Every dumb line is delivered with the confidence of someone who generally thinks they're being pretty smart. He has more personality than Andre because Stupider is funnier in IW. His reaction to the zombie situation is constantly entertaining because he doesn't understand the gravity of everything that's happening. He's the guy who would try to bench press a zombie. More personality than Andre, but still being held back by being a one-note architect. It works for laughs, but there's no moment where AJ surprises you with depth.
This place looks like a roach motel.
At number 29 is Diego from BO4's Chaos Crew. Diego has a strong Indiana Jones type of energy. He's a treasure hunter and rogue who joined the team party for the adventure and partly because he's drawn to Scarlet. His personality adds humor to the crew that could otherwise feel too serious, and his banter with Scarlet is some of the best in BO4. He doesn't have the depth of, like, Scarlet's emotional arc with her story, or the dark, mysterious Bruno's backstory, but Diego is a fun member of the crew that deserved more time to develop. If the Chaos story had gotten a second season, Diego's character probably would have grown beyond just the charming rogue. He has hints of a deeper past and connections to the Order that were never fully explored. He's entertaining and likable, which counts for a lot, but he needed that one defining moment that makes a character unforgettable. Number 28 is Sal DeLuca from BO2's Mob of the Dead. The mob boss of the crew, he carries himself with the authority of someone who's been running the street for decades. Every line he delivers sounds like an order. Even when it's just a reaction to picking up like a power-up, that Mafia Don presence is consistent and convincing throughout the game. His dynamic with Weasel is what gives him the most weight. Sal is the one who kills Al Argentine in the cycle. He's the one who carries out the betrayal that traps them all in purgatory. That guilt, even if Sal doesn't fully realize it during gameplay, adds a layer to every interaction between them. But beyond that dynamic, Sal doesn't have many standout moments as Weasel or Finn. He's the leader, and leaders in Zombies crew are a hit or miss in terms of who's around him. Number 27 is Sarah Michael Gellar from BO1's Call of the Dead. This is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she's fighting zombies. I mean, come on, that's perfect casting. Sarah built her career on fighting supernatural creatures, and putting her in a zombies map is pretty much the most natural crossover in COD Zombies history. Her voice lines references her horror background, and she delivers them with the confidence of someone who's been fighting the undead for years on television. She is pretty much the most recognizable member of the Call of the Dead crew and probably the most iconic celebrity cameo in Zombies history until later down the line with Jeff Goldblum. She's fun to play as, and she has a personality, and the casting is pretty good. But like the rest of the Call of the Dead crew, it's more celebrity novelty than real character development. With these celebrity maps, it's more of the map around them than the characters, but it's still entertaining, so...
Okay, George, take it easy.
Number 25 is Michael Rooker from BO1's Call of the Dead. Before The Walking Dead made him into a household name, Michael Rooker was already a legendary character actor in a couple different things. His presence on Call of the Dead adds a gruff, no-nonsense intensity that balances out the rest of the crew. Rooker brings in his trademark tough guy energy at every line. He sounds like he's generally annoyed by the zombies and just wants to get the job done and go home. He sounds exactly like he's in the situation rather than reading lines in a booth. He's entertaining and has some solid voice lines that land harder because of his delivery. Similar to the rest of the Call of the Dead crew, fun celebrity presence, but limited depth. He would rank higher if the character had an actual story to tell.
You're gonna blow now!
Alright, now we get into the top 25. And coming in at number 25 is Fidel Castro from BO1's 5. This Cuban dictator is fighting along JFK and Nixon in the Pentagon. The sheer absurdity of this crew is part of what makes it so great. Having Castro, an actual historical figure who had assassination attempts from the CIA, standing side by side with JFK, fighting the undead is funny. Castro has some hilarious voice lines about the revolution, communism, and his disdain for capitalism while mowing down zombies. The writers lean into the ridiculousness fully, and it works here. He's not the star of the 5 crew, that's obviously somebody else, but he's a perfect supporting player. Every time he says something about the revolution or communism while a zombie is attacking him, it's funny. The 5 crew is proof that sometimes the craziest ideas are the best ones.
No bitches will touch me!
Coming in at number 24 is Danny Trejo from Black Ops 1's Call of the Dead. Danny Trejo is an action movie icon who looks like he can actually survive a zombie apocalypse with nothing but his fists and a bad attitude. Presence on Call of the Dead adds pure intensity. When Danny Trejo says he's going to kill a zombie, you believe him more than any other character in the franchise. He might be the only celebrity crew member who feels like he would actually survive this situation in real life.
You just fuck with the wrong Mexican!
Number 23 is Richard Nixon from BO1's 5. Nixon on 5 is comedy gold and one of the best examples of character writing in early zombies. His paranoid personality translates perfectly into a zombie apocalypse scenario. The man who recorded everything in the Oval Office is now trapped in the Pentagon with the living dead, and he's handling it exactly how you expect Richard Nixon to handle it. Some of his voice lines about taping everything, being suspicious of everyone around him, and his general paranoia is pretty hilarious and kind of funny to his true personality. He's the second best member of the 5 crew behind someone later, and obviously you know who it is if you watch the video, and honestly could be higher if the 5 crew appeared in more than one map.
Damn you hippies, I'm out of ammo! I don't need your stinking points, I need your votes.
Number 22 is Russman from BO2 and BO4 of the Victus crew. While the rest of the Victus crew is either annoying or forgettable, Russman has a genuine charm. His age and severe memory problems give him a personality that's completely unique in zombies. He says things that don't quite make sense. He forgets what he's doing mid-sentence, and somehow that makes him good instead of frustrating. He's the heart of a crew that desperately needs one. While Malton is condescending and Samuel is whining, Russman is just a confused old man trying his best. He's one of the better Victus member group after Misty by a good margin, and he's proof that the Victus concept wasn't the problem. The execution on 2 of the 4 members was.
Thank you for riding junk-ass bus lines. Have a fucking day. No bullets and I ain't shit in a week? Ugh, getting old sucks.
Number 21 is Carver from BO6 and BO7. He's a soldier who follows orders and gets things done. In a team with Weaver as the brains and leader, Carver kind of fills the role of the enforcer. He doesn't really have much dialogue in BO6 and BO7, but when he does, it's pretty good. And his military background gives him a different perspective from the more science people of Gray and Maya. He's the boots on the ground guy who doesn't overthink things. He holds his own has his own character you don't mind playing as. He's not flashy, but he's dependable. Number 20 is Finn from BO2's Mob of the Dead, the con man of the mob crew. Finn has a slick personality that makes every word out of his mouth feel like it either could be a lie or a truth, and you really don't know. His voice lines have that kind of smooth talking energy that got him, in Alcatraz in the first place. He's the most fun to listen to after Weasel because you can hear his personality coming through. His dynamic within the mob crew adds a lot of tension since you never know whose side he's actually on. Because is he actually loyal to Sal or is he just looking out for himself? He's the member of the crew who could betray anyone at any moment, and you probably believe it. In the storyline, with the purgatory and the cycles, Finn's untrustworthy personality is like the perfect spice to it. Number 19 is Nira Blackstone from BO3's Shadows of Evil, voiced by Jeff Goldblum, and that pretty much alone puts him in a different category compared to the other Shadows of Evil characters. Nira is a failed magician who killed his wife during a accident during one of his shows. Now he is trapped in Morgue City paying for his sins alongside the other characters. Goldblum brings this signature quirky energy to Nero, and it works perfectly. The only reason he's not higher is because the Shadows crew as a whole doesn't land for me. Nero is great in isolation, but the team dynamic around him isn't strong enough to elevate him further. Don't get me wrong, Shadows of Evil's characters are good and they have good acting behind them, but I do think there are a lot better characters within the Zombies universe than the Shadows of Evil characters. Jeff Goldblum's performances does help this rise up a little bit. Number 18 is Scarlet Rhodes from BO4's Chaos Crew. She is the leader of the Chaos Crew and the best character from this pretty much entire storyline. She has emotional stakes with her father's disappearance in the storyline. She's not fighting zombies for survival like a lot of other characters on this list. She's on a personal mission to find her dad. The Chaos story would feel directionless if Scarlet wasn't the leader. Her relationship with her father and the realization about his past give the story genuine weight. If the community have given the Chaos story a chance instead of screaming for Ether, Scarlet would have been talked about alongside the best characters in Zombies, especially with Season 2, because she's well acted, well written, has a complete character arc across 9, Voyage, Dead of Night, and Ancient Evil. She deserved better than being ignored because she wasn't Richtofen. And since we didn't get Season 2 of the Chaos story, then we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Scarlet, especially after what happened with Ancient Evil. Number 17 is BO7's Dempsey. The modern version of Tank Dempsey brings an aggressive soldier energy, but with a fresh take with the new story. BO7 has given all these 4 main characters new depth through improved storytelling and longer cutscenes, and Dempsey benefits from that upgrade. Unfortunately, Dempsey and Nikolai from BO7 kind of got the short end in terms of storytelling. Tank Dempsey was a veteran of the Vietnam War. He abandoned his post and deserted the military, even though he was still falsely hailed as a war hero, and you do see a lot of that in Ashes of the Dam, and then Nikolai with, the Battle of Afghanistan. But then you got Richtofen and Takeo, which ended up getting a lot better storylines in terms of these guys, but I feel like in terms of Dempsey, this is not the better ones. This is one of the worst ones of Tank Dempsey, but it's still pretty good. Number 16 is BO7's Takeo. Modern Takeo in BO7 has benefited massively from the Kaokujo map, have an entire map dedicated to his personal story, his family castle, his ancestral guilt, the curse that blackened his soul, and the sword that talks to him. It elevates his character more than any version of Takeo before. This isn't just generic honor quotes anymore, as with the BO1 version. This is a man confronting his father's murderer. Tom Kane, the voice actor who passed away in 2026, adds real emotional weight that goes beyond the game because he put his heart and soul into this character, and he will be missed within the... Obviously, BO7 Takeo is a different character, but I'm going to talk about it here because Tom Kane is just one of the greatest voice actors of all time. Right after that is number 15 with Primus Takeo from BO3 and BO4 and BO2. The Primus version of Takeo has more depth than his Ultimus counterpart by a mile. The Zetsubo no Shima storyline, where he confronts his corrupted Ultimus self and has to put him down, is one of the more emotional individual character moments in BO3. While Zetsubo is not the greatest map in terms of how it plays, it's still probably one of the most heartbreaking and best character moments in BO3. He's still the least talked about Primus character, and I think that's unfair. His quiet dignity and sense of duty provides a grounding presence that the more dramatic Richtofen and the more emotional Nikolai need. He's the calm center of the Primus crew. The problem is calm doesn't make for exciting voice lines during zombie kill actions. He deserves more respect for what he brings to the team dynamic, even if he isn't the flashiest member. While I have Primus Takeo above the BO7 Takeos, I do feel like BO7 Takeo is a little bit better in terms of storytelling, but in terms of gameplay and then how his Zetsubo came about, I think Primus Takeo is just a tad bit, like just an inch better than the BO7 version.
Never thought I would say this, but I missed the gum.
Number 14 is Maya from BO6. Maya has solid character development throughout BO6. She starts as an uncertain newcomer and grows into a confident team member by the end. She holds her own in cutscenes alongside Weaver, and her chemistry with the crew feels natural, especially with Terminus, with her dealing with her brother becoming a mutant. Number 13, and the best character in the BO6 crew, is Weaver. He's the leader of the BO6 crew and the standout person. Weaver carries the team dynamic, and his leadership role gives him the most screen time and development. He's basically the Richtofen of the modern era. Strong voice acting and a command appearance that defines BO6. Unfortunately, in BO7, he's kind of taken a step back, but in BO6 he was. Number 12 is BO7's Nikolai. BO7's modern Nikolai keeps the humor from the classic version, but adds pretty much depth. The vodka jokes are still there, but now he can also hit you with a serious line that makes you think. BO7 Nikolai is kind of like Primus Nikolai in terms of maturity, but isn't as matured, and since a cutscene with Nikolai on Ashes of the Dam talking about his presence in the Afghanistan war and him having PTSD really makes him a standout character. Coming in at number 11 is Primus Dempsey from BO3, BO4, and BO2. So he's a soldier he's seen a lot and carries that weight. His dynamic with Richtofen is one of the best in BO3. He doesn't fully trust him but follows him anyway because the mission demands it. He went from being the allowed American of the Ultimate Dempsey to a more composure in Primus.
Love the old ground pound.
If you have watched this video all the way through, you are the real champ. If you subscribe and like this video, it would really help. This video took a while to make. Alright, now we get into the top 10. These top 10s, I had a hard time ranking, so if you have a different opinion, you can easily put, 10 at 1 or, 5 at 6, etc. But coming in at number 10 is Ultimus Dempsey from World at War, BO1, BO2, and even in BO4. This American man, he's very American in these games. His aggressive one-liners and over-the-top military personality makes him instantly recognizable. Classic Dempsey has pretty much been memed over a decade, and it still holds up.
You ought to teach Dicktoffen how to shoot like that.
Coming in at number 9 is Weasel from BO2's Mob of the Dead. He is the heart of the Mob of the Dead crew. He slowly realizes during the Easter egg of Mob of the Dead that something is wrong with Mob of the Dead. The reveal of breaking the cycle depends on his choices. One of the better moments in any COD Zombies game. Without Weasel, Mob is just a cool prison map. With him, it's a masterpiece. And he also kind of does come back in Blood of the Dead, helping out our four crew members in that one as like a little ghost bird. But he's still pretty cool. Number 8 is Point Dexter from IW, voiced by Seth Green. I know a lot of people would be surprised to see an IW character this high, but Seth Green absolutely killed this role. The nerdy archetype is perfect for his comedy style, quoting movies, making pop culture references, and then just getting overly excited about things nobody really cares about. He has some of the funniest lines outside of Treyarch Zombies. If you ever play IW, go listen to his quotes, you'll understand why he's here.
Nerdgasm!
Number 7 is Misty from BO2's and BO4's Victus crew. This is the best Victus crew by a mile. Misty has attitude, personality, backbone, and nitties. She actually makes you want to play as her, while no other Victus member can claim to that. Put her on any other crew and she pretty much holds her own. She's a fan favorite for good reason. She's tough without being annoying and funny without trying too hard. The fact that she's number 7 while carrying the franchise's weakest team says everything.
Tell you one thing, no zombies ever called me a skank.
Number 6 is Ultimus Richtofen from World at War, BO1, BO2, and BO4. He is pretty much the villain in these ones, the one who started it all. His evil laugh and insane quotes define what zombies' characters could be. His manipulation of the crew, and he's the character who made zombie storytelling matter. Without him, zombie stays a fun side mode. With him, it becomes a saga. For a lot of people who grew up with World at War and BO1, Ultimus Richtofen is pretty much the heart and soul of zombies, with BO1 leading up to the moon of him getting what he wanted.
A little crawling minion. I found one!
Number 5 is Primus Nikolai from BO3 and BO4. Nikolai is the one who pretty much carries the weight of the ending of either story. He's completely different from Ultimus. He reads the Canorium, learns the terrible truth, and carries that knowledge while pretending everything is fine in BO4. At the end of Tag der Toten, he poisons the crew and ends the cycle, killing the people we love because it's the only way to save everything. That's pretty much the most tragic sacrifice in zombies history. He went from a background player of a drunken idiot with the Ultimus one all the way to probably the most tragic hero in the series.
That's rudeness! People like you should be shot!
Number 4 is JFK from BO1's 5. The most unexpected and entertaining crew member pretty much ever. At the time, nobody expected to play as the 35th president fighting zombies alongside Nixon and Castro. The concept shouldn't work, but it works perfectly here in the Pentagon. His voice lines are legendary. Everything sounds presidential, even when he's talking about killing zombies. There will never be another character as absurdly perfect as JFK on 5. He's the reason people tend to replay this map.
A zombie miseducated is a zombie lost. Forgive one's enemies, but never, ever forget their names.
Number 3's gotta be BO7's Richthofen. BO7 brought back all the characters into a new light, and this one feels a lot fresh. The Dark Aether storyline gives them a new depth without repeating what came before. Totenreich adds to that story, with this side Easter egg of him killing over 7 million people in New York by dropping a bomb, which makes this Richthofen probably the most evil Richthofen in zombies history. Coming in at number 2 is Ultimus Nikolai from World at War BO1 and BO2. This is the drunk Russian, and I think it's just because every quote is quotable and it's probably some of the best comedy in terms of a character. He talks about vodka the entire time. As long as there's vodka, he's there. He's the comic relief of the group that doesn't get old after hundreds of hours. While other characters need complex lore to be great, Nikolai just needs a bottle and a punchline. He's the greatest drunk, and nobody's taking that crown from him, and that's why he is number 2.
What? That stripper must have stolen my money!
Coming in at number 1 is gonna be Primus Richthofen from BO3, BO4. He is the GOAT of COD Zombies. His arc from mysterious manipulator to self-sacrificing hero is the best character journey in the franchise. In BO3, he's the man with the plan, who won't tell anyone the plan. You don't trust him because his ultimate self was a villain, but slowly you realize he's different throughout BO3's life cycle, and even him sacrificing himself in BO4. He's not doing this for power, he's doing it because he's seen what happens if he doesn't. The man who always has an answer doesn't know what to do anymore in Blood of the Dead. The scene where he bleeds out while his younger self watches is the most emotional moment in zombies history. No other character has that range of Primus Richthofen. Because of that, he is the GOAT. End of discussion. Alright, that was every single crew member in COD Zombies history ranked from worst to best. I know some of these are going to be controversial, especially, IW being so high or even Shadow's crew being as low as they are, but this is my personal list based on how much I enjoy these characters. Let me know who your number 1 is, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.